pavbhambra here for PSB Sports. I'm at the Frank Buglioni versus Ricky Summers press conference here today, and with me I've got Eddie Hearn. How you doing, Eddie?
Very well, mate. Yourself?
Doing very well. Been a while since we caught up.
Have you just woken up?
I haven't just woken up, I promise.
Are you sure?
I'm going to get ripped for this.
Was that not the look when you woke up out of bed this morning? That was, you looked the same.
It wasn't. It wasn't.
When I woke up, I looked like a pile of dog shit. Not that you do.
Oh, yeah.
But I'm saying, so, and I've had to work to try and look half reasonable.
Yeah.
But you kind of give me the impression that it's like, gear on. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Are you a student?
Yeah, you already know this.
Yeah, but I'm just saying, because there's students that, are you a student?
Yeah, I'm a student as well.
You don't look like a student. So you don't look in. He's got the wax in the barnet, the quiff, he's got a little corduroy velvet blazer on, pair of jeans. You're more like student life. Wake up, oh Jesus, is that the time? You know, tracksuit on, bosh, off we go. He looks more like he should be in the FTSE 100 trading up.
To be fair, I do usually wear blazers and pressers,
Yeah.
but I've got two in for dry cleaning, to be fair.
Okay, fair play.
So that's basically why.
Understand.
One
I'll
of
let
those
you off.
ones. Appreciate that.
I always give you a little bit of an appearance update, don't I?
Yeah, no, of course. Obviously, your appearance up there after Foxgroves and Sky Sports News at Wembley, that was good as well, wasn't it?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah.
Anyway, so moving swiftly on. Firstly, just speak to you about the signing of Joshua Buatsi. Obviously, you released it yesterday that there was going to be a major signing. Obviously, everyone was guessing who was it going to be. It was Buatsi. So how did the agreement actually come about?
It's been a long time. And actually, it mirrors the Anthony Joshua partnership and signing in that it took a long time. You know, he spoke to everybody. And that's always our advice, is to speak to everybody, because fighters who have deep minds, like Joshua and Buatsi, they need to be certain they've made the right decisions, and they need peace with their decision. And that's what Buatsi needed, because he didn't really know what he should do or where he should go. So he had to learn. He had to learn about broadcasters, about the numbers, about the development of a fighter. And once he took all that into consideration, he decided to sign with us. And I'm very, very pleased, because I call him the man of the Rio Olympics. He was the fighter that I looked at during the tournament. I also remember watching him with my old man in the tournament, and my old man said, "You've got to get this kid. He's a special kid. He can fight." And everyone in boxing knows how good Buatsi is. So it was very important to get him, and that's for us now. That closes the book on Rio 2016. I've got all the guys we wanted, and I'm so excited about the future, because you've got to build from the bottom up. You can't just be in a position where you take the cream of the crop who might be in their last 2, 3, 4, 5 fights. So we're building from the bottom, and we have the best team moving forward.
Absolutely, and I know you mentioned there in the presser, you feel that you even tweeted it yesterday. You said that I think this is going to be a real special journey, something similar of what Anthony Joshua's been able to do. So what do you see of Buatsi that you think?
Well, firstly, as a fighter, I think he's a phenomenal fighter. And I speak to people I respect in the game who tell me, "Ed, you have to get this kid. He's special." And when you watch what he did in the Olympics, not just the way that he won the medal, but the way he beat certain guys. He lost in the semis because he just weren't experienced enough to deal with that. But with 10-ounce gloves on in the pro game, he's going to rip through people, and he's going to be really interesting to watch. I don't know if you've interviewed him yet today, but I was very impressed by the way he spoke at the press conference. It's very difficult just to sit up there and just reel off 5 or 10 minutes just chatting. He's very, very calculated. He has a clear mind, and that's important. And I just feel like he has the mentality, the ability, the desire, the work rate to succeed in the pros. And as I say to all these fighters, I'm going to put it on a plate for you. You're not going to get messed around. You're not going to get fights that don't exist or opportunities that don't exist. It's all there. All you have to do is walk in a straight line. Just keep winning. Said the same thing to AJ, and he did that. And look at where he is now. And Josh Buatsi can be in exactly the same spot.
Notably as well, Conor Ben's returning, first time since December, I believe. He fought on December 10th, Joshua Molina undercard. So how do you believe that time out of the ring has helped him?
Well, because he got thrown in the deep end, and he wasn't ready, really. He had no amateur experience. All the pressure was on him because his dad was Nigel Benn. And he went off at 1,000,000 miles an hour, did well, but made mistakes. What he's learned in the last 6 months being out the ring about himself, about being a fighter, technically, mentally, about dealing with his situation, is going to benefit him so much. You'll see a different fighter in Conor Benn, and I think this, this is one day he'll look back on this period of his life and think, wow, that really, that could have been a defining moment for me.
Absolutely, and obviously Frank Buglioni as well against Summers. Buglioni was obviously last involved in a cracking fight against Haye-Bellew.
Always in cracking fights, yeah. I mean, he fights one way, and actually, talking to him at the presser, it's almost like he is the elder statesman at the table. He's been around, he's fought for a world title, he's lost at super middleweight, he's moved up, he's in a fight of the year against Jose Burton. So he's always in great fights, and I think that Frank now can establish himself. You talk about the guys who are in the twilight of their career, and then the guys that are starting out. He's in the middle, so he has the opportunity to jump and be in big fights. He has to beat Summers, who will bring plenty of action. He has to beat potentially Jose Burton again in a rematch, and then I believe he can go and challenge for world titles, maybe against Nathan Cleverly. But he sells a huge amount of tickets. He's very popular. He's all action, and he deserves to be headlining.
Moving on from the show itself, any updates on Anthony Joshua, Vladimir Klitschko? I know you said there that you're pretty much waiting on what Vladimir has got to say.
Not really, yeah. I mean, I think that the rematch is happening. That's how we should look at it until we hear differently, and that news will probably come this week. Our job with Burnt over the last couple of weeks is to look at all the options in terms of where's it going to happen, and that is generally, looking at the money, looking at the locations. We've had huge offers, from Nigeria to Dubai, to States as well. Cardiff is an opportunity. So it's weighing those up, looking at the financial case. From a fight case, I think Vladimir wants to fight Joshua again. I think he feels like he should have beaten him, or could have beaten him, or could have done more to try and beat him. So that'll entice him in. He's getting a lot of respect and credit from that first fight. And again, it's a massive money fight. So I'm almost certain Vladimir will take the rematch, and we'll be planning over the next 2 or 3 weeks where that will take place.
Notably, in the rematch clause, what are the implications of that? What's the time frame of?
Well, when people talk about a rematch clause, once if it was a terrible fight, it wouldn't be happening, because for the fight to happen, Sky, the American partners, RTL, all must want the fight to happen, and they're all desperate for the fight to happen. So once that happens, it's not even a case of he has to let us know by X. It's just happening. Do you know what I mean? So the only way it's not happening is if he tells us it's not happening. So at the moment, we can only presume it is happening until he turns around and says, I'm retiring. And I don't think we'll hear that. So everybody should, in their head, really get their head around the fact that this fight is happening.
So I think we can put on the tagline, Joshua Klitschko is happening.
Yeah, you can.
Okay.
Star asterisk until we hear differently.
Okay, right.
You know what I mean? So and that's the truth of it. The rematch, it's not he's got to let us know. It's this fight is happening unless he don't want it, and if he doesn't want it, we'll hear in the next probably 2 weeks tops. But I believe he will take the rematch, and I think it's the best fight for everybody.
I don't know if you watched Max Kellerman's post-fight review on HBO after, but basically he also does a show called ESPN First Take in America, and obviously Max Kellerman speaks from HBO and the American public. When I watched First Take the next day, they were going crazy about that fight in the American public. Even Max Kellerman said it was a heavyweight classic.
Yeah. I mean, it's very unusual to get a fight like that in front of 90,000 on a stage like that and produce one of the best heavyweight fights in our time, because you get great fights all the time. There was probably 100 great fights around the world that we don't even know existed, but to do it on that platform, on that occasion, on that night, that's the difference. And what you saw was everybody leaving that stadium with their jaw open, saying, I can't believe what I've just witnessed, which is great news for AJ, for Vladimir, and for boxing as well, because how many times do you get a fight that's hyped up that doesn't deliver? So when it does, it makes a massive impact on the sport.
You don't have to give me an exact figure, but is it true that pay-per-view numbers were over 1 million for that?
Yes, it was, yeah. Yeah, it broke UK records, which was 1.15 million, so
okay.
Done more than that. So fantastic, fantastic. And I think that there's a big saturation right now in boxing in the UK, and pay-per-view offerings as well. We've done 3 in 6 months, and we were going to do 1 in July, but I decided, and fights didn't work out. And I think it's for the best. You've got a Eubank one will be pay-per-view in July as well. I just think that the public are going to say, okay, I'm going to have a little rest now, and then we'll look at what we're going to deliver in September, October, November, December.
Sorry, you said Eubank in July. Who do you know who's fighting?
He's fighting Abraham. Yeah, I think he was released last night.
Okay.
Yeah, it's a decent fight. I mean, Abraham's well past his best, but it's certainly not a pay-per-view fight. But it will be pay-per-view, and I think that the fight fans are going to say, I'm going to have the summer off pay-per-view. I've been spending my money. The good news is that all the pay-per-views that we've delivered have all performed. So, like, if you've spent your money on Haye-Bellew, Joshua Klitschko, and Brook Spence, I don't believe you've begrudged spending that money, which is great news for boxing, because the minute you have a poor pay-per-view is the minute that everything can change. So you're always under pressure to make sure people get value for money.
It'll be Kell Brook versus Errol Spence Jr. Obviously last Saturday, not 2 days ago, but the Saturday before at Sheffield. Obviously Errol Spence Jr. won the fight. I noticed after you said in interviews that you would like Kell Brook to move up to 154 pounds. Additionally, most importantly, his eye also was quite badly damaged again. So what's the status of his health, and obviously about moving to 154? I know it's early days.
I felt he should have moved to 154 after the Golovkin fight. I was quite vocal in that. But he didn't want to vacate the belt, and you have to give him props for that. He didn't want to shirk the challenge of Errol Spence. But I think that when you look at it, he should move to 154. The eye was a weird one because it was the other eye, which is like, and the eye that he had operated on was perfect.
Right.
And obviously that was the one you were worried about, and then the other one goes, which is a big blow. But bearing in mind the operation and the success of the first one, he'll need the same operation, which I think is going to be next week on the left one. Touch wood, everything should be, brand new. But it is a blow to receive another injury like that. I do feel like he needs to move to 154. Perhaps have a fight in December in that division, work your way in, and then look at the Hearn fight's still a big fight, whether that's a catch weight fight, whether Kell would also go to 147 back for that fight, probably, because he wants it so bad. But I just think that the main focus on that camp was to make weight, and I felt like he was very comfortable in the fight after 6 rounds. I had him 4-2 or 5-1 up, and then the way, the eye, and the brilliance of Errol Spence, by the way. It's not like, he wouldn't have won anyway, because he's a brilliant fighter, he deserves the victory. But all things wrapped in, it was too tough for Kell on the night.
Is that Hearn fight, do you reckon, still a possibility for 2018?
I think so, yeah, I think so. I mean, I think Amir would want to come back fight anyway, in October, November, and then we can look at that for spring, summer next year.
Okay, perfect. And Eddie, Tony Bellew, any updates on Tony?
No, we're going to meet with David Haye's people this week. That's a rematch that people seem to want to see. And then Parker, Wilder, both fights that could happen. So I think we're looking to get his next fight wrapped up this month.
Okay.
Not to happen this month.
Who would you like?
The public seems to want the Haye rematch. There's a lot of things that Haye got in that first fight that Tony wasn't happy with. The split, ring wall, dressing rooms, all bits that sound irrelevant to fight fans but are important to fighters. So he just wants to respect. He wants that flipped. And if it's flipped, the fight will happen.
Okay, fair enough. Additionally, Ricky Burns, Julius Ndongo, you said there's a rematch clause, but you've also got promotional work on Ndongo. So are you working on it with Ndongo?
Yeah, I was in America last week with Carl Moretti. You off, yeah? Cheers, mate. Well done. Really well. Nice one, mate.
See you later, man.
See you later, man.
See you later, man.
I think that I was with Carl Moretti. Yeah, we're looking at making the Ndongo Crawford match. It's the first undisputed title fight, I think, in 16 years since Bernard Hopkins. So all 4 belts will be on the line, which is brilliant. So yeah, I think that's an exciting fight. The rematch, I don't think is one that Ricky should look at. He was beaten comfortably in the fight. It's not one that there's big demand for. So Crawford and Ndongo will move on, hopefully, for that undisputed fight.
Rest of the stable, any updates with anything, any big news coming?
Yeah,
I know there's obviously loads you've already mentioned.
Loads planning for the new season. The new season is from September. No, you've got Crawler, you've got Quigg, you've got Campbell and Ares, which is we're talking about as well. Obviously got AJ, Bellew, Callum Smith fighting for the world title in September.
Is that September 9th in LA? Is
Yeah,
that confirmed?
yeah. Cal Yafai looking for a potential unification for him. Sam Eggington now coming through. You got Rocky Fielding against Jamie Cox. I get told off because I've not mentioned people, but you know, I'm sure there's plenty more. So yeah, you know, great times for a stable, and now the next sort of 4 to 6 weeks is just about planning for that new season.
Absolutely. Finally, I'm always going to ask you this, and now you follow us. Potential retweet of the interview later.
Yeah, of course.
Perfect. So that's all.
Yeah, of course.
Perfect.
Of course.
Well, Eddie, on a serious note, thank you so much for the time again.
No worries, mate.
All the best, and we'll see you soon.
Cheers.
Thank you.